Hrdaya Chaitanya Prabhu, please accept my humble obeisances.
Hare Krishna.
All glories to Srila Prabhupada.
Hare Krishna, Gopal Bhatta Prabhu.
Hare Krishna. How are you?
Fine.
Good.
Yes.
You may know that the GBC strategic planning team has been doing a number of videos. They span on topics from the COVID-19 through to various aspects of devotee care. And what we're doing this morning is, of course, spending time with you as a GBC member. We want our audience, which of course is a worldwide audience, to know more about the GBC. And so we're very thankful that you've, been willing to give us your valuable time.
It's my pleasure.
Hare Krishna. So maybe we could begin to just let some of the audience know something about you. Of course, many people know you, but then there may be some people that don't know that much about you. Having a little bit of your background, I think they would find that interesting. How did you come to Krishna consciousness, and how was your Krishna conscious career? Tell us some things about that.
So I took birth in 1950 in a Flemish family with 8 children, and in Belgium. And then as a child, I went to a boarding school with Christian monks. And as a youth, I became active in a Scouts organization, where I acted as a leader, going with 80 children to summer camp and things like that. And then later I became a teacher, technical teacher.
Oh.
And which I started to teach when I was 21. And then in 1975, at the age of 25, I went to India. And with a
what caused you to go to India?
Actually, my uncle was in the town hall. He had like a function where he organized a trip to India for the mayor and all the council members. And, I was very inspired by that. And then the year after, I went with a school friend. And it did have a lot of impact on my life. Although I didn't meet the devotees as such, it had an impact. I became vegetarian and started to do hatha yoga. I got into macrobiotics, and then a few years later, I took a leave of absence from the teaching. And at that time, I went to Amsterdam. And then being in Amsterdam, working in a natural health food organization, then I came across the devotees after 9 months or so. And then I took a Bhagavad Gita. I got an invitation to come to the Sunday feast because the spiritual master, Bhagavan Prabhu, was going to be there. And then in that Sunday feast, the devotee approached me and said, why don't you come with us to Belgium? We are opening a new center there. And that was Radhadesh. And so on the same day, I joined. He picked up all my stuff. And next day we drove to Radhadesh. And
this is what we used to call move in, move him in.
Yeah.
A group of devotees go to wherever he's living, clean out everything. Boom, that's it. Goodbye.
Get him up. Yeah, so that's what happened. And so then
so your history with Radhadesh starts in the very beginning.
Yeah.
Ah, that's nice.
Yeah, devotees had bought it like a few months before I came there, but that was a preparation. When I moved in, the day after, the deities moved in from Amsterdam to Radhadesh, and we had an official opening ceremony, and so that was also my first day in first days in Radhadesh, and since then I have been always had this very strong connection with Radhadesh. And I did the Bhakta program, but then they needed somebody to, because there was still a lot of renovation to do. So because of my technical background, then they asked me to get into that. And then in '85, I married with Manjari Devidasi, and then in '86 they asked me if I would be willing to take up the temple president responsibility. Which then then it was it was further developed. But then soon after I was requested to be temple president, like 6 months after Bhagavan Prabhu left the movement. And he was the GBC, he was our guru, so that was a really big thing. It was a big setback, and many devotees became unsettled, and number of devotees left, etc., or they stopped collecting.
And so you were directly involved in trying to hold things together, huh?
Yes. Together with some other devotees, Jai Gopal Prabhu, Gopal Bhatta Prabhu, Bhatu Gopal Prabhu, your god brother.
Bhatu Gopal.
Yes.
He was my first temple president in Cleveland. Okay. That's where I joined, in Cleveland, and he was the temple president.
Okay, so
yeah.
I mean, then we really had a very hard time, especially financially and manpower. But then by Radha Gopinath's mercy, the local deities, then we were able to attract busloads of visitors. And then we had to have our act together. We had to, we gave guided tours. Some of them would also take meals. And in this way, we found, instead of going out and selling paintings, tankas, carpets, and I don't know what. So we found
itinerant begging.
So we found a solution locally, and we made Radhadesh more attractive, more organized, and in this way we were able to make it. And then we also, what was also very important was the visitors program, but also very important was to create facilities, because devotees became grihasthas, and then there was no place for them, So then we created facilities for grihasthas, and in this way, our devotees could remain and have their own family, at the same time serve the project and become pillars for the project. So this was also an important step in that in that process.
So basically, community development.
Yes.
Some devotees may not know that property is got historical significance. Like built in the 1400s or something like that.
The roots of it, the building itself is like 140 years old or 150 years old, and some part of the building is older also. But it goes back. The history of that project, one building after the other, goes back to the 14th century. Yes.
Yeah. So how did you end up becoming a GBC?
Yes. I was always, every year I was going to the GBC meetings since '86, since the 500th anniversary of Lord Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. I went since then, because at that time I became TP. So then I was supposed to go to the managers' meetings. Then the managers' meetings, that didn't go so well. Then some of the managers became deputies, GBC deputies. And then after that, so I went every year. But one particular year, I didn't go, and that was in the year 2002. So that's the year when I got a phone call from Vraj Vihari Prabhu on behalf of the GBC chairman to see if I was willing to take up the service of GBC, starting with helping Prahosh Prabhu in the French Yatra.
Ah.
So then I thought about it overnight, and then, I
So that's very sweet. You're going to GBC meeting after GBC meeting for 20 years or so. And then the first one that you miss, this is the one that they ask you to join them, the GBC. That's very sweet.
Yes, that's how it happened.
Mm. So tell us some of your GBC services, and both running and serving the zone, as well as serving on whatever the global levels. Of course, I think the people are also going to. We'll get to it in a minute on your service to Mayapur, which has been successful. But tell us about how do you manage? What do you do? How do you serve the yatras?
Yeah, so for almost 15 years, I think since 2004 is the date, I think, that we had this meeting in Italy, right, where we started.
2006.
2006, where we started this global effort of strategic planning strategies. And so I became a member of the strategic planning team. And I felt this was very, very important because, ISKCON is a worldwide organization, and strategic planning for a worldwide organization, it's not an option, it's a must.
Mm.
Any serious organization needs to be structured, and in an intelligent way it needs to be done. So in order to become effective and to expand and to improve on all levels, we do need to be organized so that we can be relevant to the society at large.
Mm.
I was very, although I've discontinued it now recently, but I was very happy, to be part of that. And I thank you and Kanteya Prabhu for leading that effort.
Yeah, and to be clear, you were one of the original members of the GBC Organizational Development Committee, and yes, you stayed with that for 10 years, 9 years, something like that. Yeah, yeah, and you made significant contribution to that effort. I think, in a sense, one of the reasons that you stepped back from that was because of the heavy responsibilities that you accepted in Mayapur. Is that pretty
Yes.
much the reason? Yes.
Yes. It became. I still continued a little bit. I tried because I was kind of attached to that service also, because I learned a lot, and I felt it so core important for our movement that I didn't want to let it go. But I had to let it go because it became the combination of the service in Mayapur and in Europe became too much.
Yeah, but now, by the way, we of course did not like the idea that you stepped back. Maybe you should consider coming back soon.
No, let's keep it for another.
Okay. So tell us, how did you get involved with Mayapur, and what has your service been there? You've done a lot of service in Mayapur for many years at this point now.
Yes. If you don't mind, I also would like to say something about the service I've been doing as in the Sannyas committee.
Oh, yeah, sure.
That goes on also for almost 20 years. I'm a member of the Sannyas committee, and of course the Sannyas committee, they also internally have a task committee which then helps the Sannyas committee to screen the sannyasis, etc. And there we have Pralananda Swami, who is who is very staunch leader of the sannyas committee, and who is happy to say that since the sannyas committee is scrutinizingly checking and going through the proper procedures, that since that time very few sannyasis have left that ashram. That's one of the achievements of the sannyas committee. And then another committee that was recently was requested by the GBC to facilitate the Samadhi committee. Because since many years, when senior devotees leave their body, then Samadhi come up in Mayapur next to Srila Prabhupada's Samadhi or in other temples. But there needs more discussion and more work needs to be done to globally find a solution and an agreement for the ISKCON society as to what is exactly the procedure, what is the memorial in Mayapur, how will that be used, who can have a samadhi, who cannot have a samadhi. It's a sensitive issue, but we have
all the disciples want to have their guru closer to Prabhupada and all of that, of course, and their natural affection is there, and so there's jockeying and whatnot. I would imagine, yes, the standards have to be created. So you're doing that with that committee, huh?
Yes. The committee is only started recently, and there is some extra pressure on the committee because, unfortunately, unexpectedly, His Holiness Bhakti Swami left the body, and then his body, his vapu, was put into samadhi in Mayapur at a particular place. So now the disciples, they expect that as soon as possible, the samadhi will be constructed there. So now we are holding that off a little bit because we need to make a general policy that needs to be accepted by the GBC body.
Very important work.
Yeah. So then in Mayapur, I'm serving half of the year I spent in Mayapur, half of the year in Europe. Although this year was a little more, I had to stay 2 months longer in Mayapur because I couldn't come back. And then with the help of the Belgian embassy, we got an evacuation flight, which we came back 2 months later. So that was like an exceptional situation. I also don't know yet when to go back because nothing is clear. India is COVID-19.
Yeah, you have to be careful going back. You have to don't go back until which time it's relatively safe.
Yeah. I will carefully look at the situation and ask advice also from the devotees in Mayapur and what is the best step to take, and also to get a flight is not that easy now at this moment. So
from my memory is a little vague, but maybe you've been serving Mayapur for 10 years time or so, yeah?
Since 2014.
2014. Okay, so 6 years. Okay. So what is it that you do there?
Yeah, so Mayapur is a place with 5,000 to 6,000 devotees living there, and a good number of devotees are, or 350 devotees are brahmacharis, actively involved in the project. And then there is a good number of grihasthas who is also involved. And then you have staff, people from outside that are not directly initiated devotees. So that all working together, it's a big project. The leaders of Mayapur on behalf of the GBC body is the Mayapur Executive Board.
Mm.
And because there is not one GBC, there is a group of GBCs combined with bureau members. You have Jayapataka Swami, you have Gopal Krishna Goswami, you have Bhakti Purushottam Swami, Anuttama Prabhu, myself. These are the GBC members. Of course, Bhakti Charu Swami was also there since a very long time.
Yeah.
And then besides them, then you have Vasugos Prabhu, Dairam Prabhu, and Devakinandan Prabhu, who are the bureau members, representatives, and together these devotees, they form the Mayapur Executive Board, and they give the vision to Mayapur.
Mm.
And the main decisions, major decisions are taken by them, and they choose the Mayapur Administrative Council members.
Mm.
There are 7 or 8 Mayapur Administrative Council members who manage Mayapur on a daily basis.
Mm. Mm.
So when I'm there, I'm requested as to be the chairman for the 6 months I'm there. And if I'm not there, there is another devotee, Subhakshana Prabhu, who is right now is serving as the chairman of the Administrative Council, and they, on a daily basis, they take all the decisions. And under them, they have like 18 divisions.
Mm.
You have the Samadhi division, you have the deity division, you have Gita preaching, you have guest house division, you have Brahmachari division,
Cows,
Goshala, security, land, tourism. 18 divisions are there.
Mm.
And these devotees, they also meet twice a month, or like whatever is necessary. They meet to communicate everything proper, and to also interact with the Mayapur Administrative Council, give feedback also on decisions taken by the Mayapur Administrative Council. And these divisions, under them they have departments. There are 18 divisions, but there are 80 departments. So each division has one or several departments under them.
So whoever said that administration is not spiritual?
Yes.
Sounds quite spiritual to me.
Yes, absolutely.
Now, also one of the things that you've spent a lot of time on is the master plan. Tell us a little bit about the master plan.
Yes. In 2016, then the master plan had been accepted. I mean, there is a whole history of master plans, and but we started to work in 2014. We started to really concentrate on making a master plan, and that fructified with the help of a Calcutta specialized architect. Then with the cooperation of the devotees who were previously, some devotees who were previously involved in master plans, such as Jayapataka Swami, Nareswara Prabhu, and others, we were able to conclude a master plan that we all felt we could go forward with that. So that was presented then to the MEB. And MEB in 2016 accepted that as the master plan for Mayapur.
Mm.
And then for the last 4 years, a master plan team has been working on it. This is like 5-6 devotees who work together, and with the same names also, Jayapataka Swami, and also Nareswara Prabhu, Madhavavaranga Prabhu, Harilila Prabhu, Aloy Govinda Prabhu, and Nanda Prabhu as our permanent secretary, who is full-time working on this. So we work now out we try to work out all the small points because when you make an overall master plan, it's a theoretical concept. Then you have to put it onto the ground. All this, there are a number of parks. There is a UVP, which is central, but then there is a number of parks: the Sri Prabhupada Park, the Holy Name Park, the Navadvip Mandal Park. So a number of parks, a number of avenues, number of activities, cottage industry, retail industry, areas for the Grihasthas are living, a whole area for education with the Mayapur Institute, with the Mayapur University, with Bhaktivedanta Gurukul, with the Smiths, with so many things, food for life. So it's all laid out on the plan, but then we have to define it on the ground and work out all the small areas that needs to be adjusted and get agreement with the leaders thereof to make sure that everything is clearly accepted and that it can move forward. So we have
a lot of complications. Sounds like. One question I have: the GBC Organizational Development Committee has requested a place for the GBC headquarters, and have you approved that yet?
Well, it's work in progress. It's work in progress.
We would like to see if we could get that place approved, as per the last discussion that we had. Yeah.
Yeah, sure. We want to move forward with this, as as everybody wants to move forward. At the same time, it's things are a little slow. Although we meet every week, and we make slowly progress, and then there is a whole system that it is accepted by the MAC, it is accepted by the MEB, and
yeah,
sometimes are given to the GBC body. So there are a number of considerations that.
So maybe sometime soon we'll get back in touch with you and
sure
see what we can do to solidify that plan.
Absolutely.
So just tell us briefly your zones. What kind of zonal duties do you have back in Europe?
Yeah, for a few countries, I am together with Madhusevda Prabhu. Madhusevda Prabhu is the main GBC for Holland, Belgium, and France, and I'm co-GBC with him.
Mm.
And then for Spain and Portugal, I'm the GBC, the sole GBC or whatever you name it.
Mm.
These are the different countries, because Europe, it has been divided in such way, and as we are trying for the whole world to divide it in cohesive zones.
Yeah, to create more clarity for the GBC responsibility.
Yes.
Yeah, I think that's a good initiative.
Yes, absolutely. Absolutely. On the long run, it's really the way forward.
So let's talk about the way forward. When we sit and look at all of the issues that our movement has, all of the things that maybe need help, etc. We're also looking out into the future. What are some of the major challenges that you see for our movement that need to be addressed so that this movement remains vibrant and strong, and particularly spiritually strong? What are some of these challenges that you see?
Yeah, for myself, like this situation with the COVID-19, it makes me reflect on statements that Sri Prabhupada has made, like, economic development means cow protection and agriculture.
Mm.
So it really makes me think, in a sense, like just like in Radhadesh, basically we were able with the building of some guest houses, restaurant, boutique, bakery, museum. We were able to make it attractive, so that people can come and take some prasadam, get some Krishna consciousness, guided tours, see the deities, hear the chanting of the holy name, take some books. So in one sense, we have made a nice packet. On the other hand, as I said, I am puzzled by that statement of Srila Prabhupada, because I have come across it a number of times, not one time, number of times. Economic development means cow protection and agriculture. And it rings a bell to me, although I do not have the real solution. I was thinking, like, same in Mayapur, these 700 acres. So Mayapur is going to be very nice, very educational, very informative, very attractive, with the parks and beauty and beautiful temple room, of course, etc., etc. But how do we fulfill that? That simple living, that cow protection and agriculture comes central in our life. And of course we have the example in Europe of Hungary, where devotees really follow that. So recently I was thinking, like in the case of Radhadesh, and in Mayapur we are also thinking like that we should have a farm in the proximity, not too far away, but a big farm, maybe like 1,000 acres or something, and then in that farm really live on that principle. Because the cow is sacred, and the cow, there is something special with the cow. If you follow that principle of Prabhupada of cow protection and agriculture, then something magical will happen, and then we can see that devotees can be happy, and at the same time can live simple, and in this way will not be affected by any economical crisis. Because now, although we are living in an alternative way, we are still quickly affected by, if there would be a real crisis or a war or lack of electricity or chaos, then we are not fully protected. But we would be fully protected if we would be fully depend on the land and the cows.
Yeah, so I agree with you. This is a major challenge, how to actually implement and bring into the world of action these statements of Srila Prabhupada. It is not going to be some easy thing, major challenge. What other challenges do you see going out into the future?
Another challenge that I saw in the area where GBC, particularly in this case in Portugal, I saw that the devotees became vegan in our ISKCON restaurant. So much vegan that also the deities were receiving only vegan.
But they don't like milk anymore, I guess, huh?
But that's why I
speak of cure.
That's why I studied. I dove into a little deeper, and that's I gave a presentation in the seminar also for the ILS in that regard. Should ISKCON devotees become vegan? And from Srila Prabhupada, it's very clear. Vegan can be used as preaching, and as such, there are very good sentiments to protect the cow, to not, harm any animals, etc. These are very good sentiments. But then the application to use it for preaching, to attract people and get deeper understand the philosophy. But for ISKCON devotees to go so deep that they, exclude anything else besides vegan, that's way over the, over the border, way over the double line, so to say, So that's
there's one statement from Srila Prabhupada. He said we are not vegetarians. We are prasaditarians. And I think he said that 3 or 4 times.
Yeah.
So to educate people that, vegetarianism, vegan, it's better on a mundane level, but it's really prasadam.
Yeah.
So I guess what you're saying is the challenge is that we grab hold of some current dynamic that is going on in society at large, and somehow or other we import that and maybe go too far with it, huh?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, because Krishna is the butter thief. So he steals yogurt, he steals butter, he distributes it to his friends. So we cannot scrap out of the diet of Krishna, because he is the creator. He is the one who made our bodies, and when we buy a car, we fully accept to put a specific type of oil in our car when we change the motor oil. Because the engineer tells us what we have to put there, and we strictly follow. Krishna is telling us what is the best for our body and for the functioning of his creation, and we should follow that. And means vegetarian, like vegetarian.
Yeah. What other challenges do you see going out into the future?
Yeah, so these were like specific challenges. Like for myself, a reflection, which I see as a challenge also in general, is that the studying of Srila Prabhupada's books, I personally, I regret that, I'm 70 now, so, in these 40 years, I regret that I did not spend more time on studying Srila Prabhupada's books. I was always there in a pioneer's mode of doing everything what needs to be done. So, in one way it's nice, but on the other hand, I have also seen that devotees who study the books, they are special. And even when they have some difficulties in their spiritual life, it's more easy for them to overcome it or to come back, even if there is, for some reason, they take some distance, like sometimes can happen. But still, for them, it's more easy to come back, and that baggage or that luggage, these realizations that the studying of the books have been given for them, it's so easy to take it with them. It's part of their thinking, feeling, willing. It's part of their life. It's So yeah, that's one regret I have. Basically, I studied Srila Prabhupada's books when I had to give class, and that's good. And I followed many classes. That's also good. But really studying Srila Prabhupada's books, not just reading, but studying Srila Prabhupada's books, is a very important aspect of Krishna consciousness. And yeah.
And do you have an awareness that broadly our ISKCON members, maybe they're not doing it in that so good in that area, and that more of that is needed? I guess that's what you're saying.
That's what I'm saying. Yeah. Yeah. I have no statistics, but I do know from interacting with quite many devotees, I do know that we could very much improve there.
These are very interesting and major challenges. We're getting close to the end of our time. Of course, we're living in this COVID-19 time frame. Just give us a few words. How has this affected your life, and what are you doing to stay safe? But particularly, what are you doing to continue with the leadership role that you have during this period of time of somewhat isolation? How are you managing that?
Yeah, so as long as I was in Mayapur up to beginning of June, there was no actual problem with COVID-19 in Mayapur. And then when I came to Radhadesh, where I then stayed actually for a few months in a row, and it's just now, a few days ago, that I came to France. in the last 2.5 months, it's the first time I am away from Radhadesh, and like everybody else, using Zoom, and WhatsApp, and email to communicate. And so for the time being, it's good, especially Zoom, I must say, because you are so close, like you are in LA probably, or in
Los Angeles,
so and we are so far away. At the same time, we are very close, and the fact that you can see each other and that you can interact like that, and interact also at the same time with many devotees, that's it's new. It's new to me, this technical facility, but I think it's very nice. And normally I would have gone to Spain, Portugal, Holland, etc., but I haven't. So one side, because I'm also in the age area of more sensitive for COVID-19, so I try to be a little bit extra careful. Like in Radha, in the temple room, we have to, by Belgian law, we have to carry the mask, and so we try to follow that. Distance is not always respected. It's very difficult with devotees. But so far, I've not been in any place, neither Mayapur, Radhadesh, or New Mayapur, where there is some problem with the COVID-19. So far.
But since you left in Mayapur, there has been serious problems with COVID in Mayapur, unfortunately.
Yes. Even today, there is a good number of devotees who have. There is a number of devotees who have problem. The devotees, I must say, the management has really taken it to heart, and they really have specific areas where these devotees are staying. We have a good crew of doctors who are supervising. Also, Jayapataka Swami's area is well protected, etc. So they are really taking a lot of precautions on the of Jayapataka Swami and the Mayapur Administrative Council, especially Hari Lila Prabhu. They are taking a lot of precautions to make sure whenever there is this isolation, there is proper supervision, and so far there are no grave incidents. Many devotees or a good number of devotees have become sick, but also have healed they also went through the process and have been healed quite fast, I would say.
So we're getting close to the end of our time. I have one more question. It relates to ISKCON and what we've seen and heard from you in your life, that from the very beginning you started making major sacrifices for ISKCON and continue to take on more and more responsibility, and you've devoted your entire life to ISKCON.
Mm-hmm.
So just tell us why. Why have you worked so hard for ISKCON?
I mean, when I was younger, I was also looking as a Christian. I was first looking into the Bible, into, what is the goal of life? What is my relationship with God? Who is God? So all these basic questions that we use in our preaching. And, in 1980, when I happened to meet the devotees, happened to get the Bhagavad Gita, happened to go to the first Sunday feast, it just clicked, and I was ready. I was living in Amsterdam. That same Sunday feast, that devotee offered me a ride with the car. He says, even with me in my apartment, he says, "Oh, that you don't need. That you don't need. I'll just take that." I took these things, put it in the car, and I never went back there. So that's I really. I'm really very happy and willing to give my life, because it's just the right philosophy. And although theoretically, although we may make mistakes and in the practical application of of Krishna consciousness, but it's the best way of life, the best philosophy, the best friends, the best persons, the saints and sadhus to follow. So,
So it's the best organization in the world.
Yes, it is. Yes.
Okay. Well, thank you so much for your valuable time. We very much appreciate it. It's been very, very nice speaking with you and getting all of your insights.
Thank you.
So thank you so much. All glories to Srila Prabhupada. Hare Krishna.
Thank you. Hare Krishna.